Jack, the Giant, and the Beanstalk. Written and illustrated by Christy Voce and Suzanne Voce. Once upon a time there lived a little boy named Jack who climbed a beanstalk. Does this story sound familiar to you? I'm here to tell you there's another side to that story. My side. I'm the giant that lives in the castle. My kindly wife, the giantess, and I have dwelled in our castle amidst the clouds for centuries. Giants and giantesses live to be very old as long as they have lived a kind and good life. One day, as my wife was baking bread in her kitchen, she heard a faint knocking at the foot of the door. She looked down, and lo and behold, a tiny boy was there. He came begging for food. He said, rather rudely, "Lady, give me some food." She was a bit startled by his brashness, but, being a giantess, who are kindly by nature, she gave him some of her freshly made bread. "There you are, young man. Help yourself to some bread." "Lead? I can't eat lead, lady," yelled the little boy loudly. "No, I said bread. Eat some bread," replied my wife. Later, we learned the little beggar boy's name was Jack, and he was hard of hearing. Apparently his mother sent him out to sell the pet Holstein, and he came back with some beans. At about this time I was napping, but upon smelling the freshly baked bread, I arose and stomped toward the kitchen. It is difficult for a giant to walk softly, so I am sure they heard my footsteps. Knowing that I can be a little cranky when I wake from my nap, my wife hid the rude little beggar under a pot so I wouldn't have to deal with company at that time. With my keen sense of smell, I could smell the little Englishman, so I said, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. I'm not sure if he's been fed, but I am willing to share with him some bread." Honest to goodness, those were my exact words. Well, my wife shushed me and said, "Relax, dear husband, and eat your lunch. You smell nothing but the delicious food that has been set before you." Later that night, as I was taking inventory of our pantry food, I noticed a significant amount was missing. A few days later, I was taking care of our prize goose, Goldie. Goldie has been our family pet for decades. She's a special breed that requires a special mineral diet, gold dust. We've taken such good care of her throughout the years that she began laying golden eggs on command. After I had watched Goldie lay her 3 golden eggs for the day, I laid down for my afternoon nap, but a strange smell awoke me. I said, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he rich or be he poor, I'll be his friend forevermore." Word for word, that's what I said. Cross my heart. Do you remember earlier when I told you about Jack and how his mother had sent him out to sell the family Holstein cow, and he came back with some magic whole beans? Well, as an added note, these were given to him by my cousin Larry. Larry is the short one in the family, and he never quite got over that. He left the comfort of the Giant Sky neighborhood, thinking he might fit in better on land. The beans were his elevator to home if he ever wanted to return. Without a doubt, this boy Jack was learning to make good use of his bean elevator to the sky. So far, he had come and gone from my home with food and my golden goose. What next? A few short days later, we found out. I had just taken my magic harp off the shelf and set it in front of me to lull me to sleep. I was asleep in no time at all, but once again, a peculiar smell woke me from my nap. I said, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he short or be he tall, we'll play a song for us all." Apparently, Jack didn't want to sit down together and listen to the harp. He must be related to Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, because he had already hightailed it out of my front door and was heading for the beanstalk. Unbelievable! He was stealing my magical singing harp. The nerve of that young man! Well, I started off after him, but he had a pretty darn good lead. Jack had already reached the ground when I had just begun my descent down the beanstalk. By the time I reached the midpoint, the stalk began to sway. He was chopping it down with me on it. I quickly began climbing up again. My hand had just fastened on to the ledge of a cloud when the stalk fell. Somehow, I managed to swing my legs on top of the cloud as well. I was safe, but just so. So, there you have it, the other side of the Beanstalk story. The end.